It's the crisis that has defined a generation, a relentless climb where the basic human need, a home, has been totally severed from the reality of our wages and our dream of a stable future. For years, the people in charge have told us the answer was to build more, build higher, build denser, and we believe them. We watch the cranes multiply on our skylines, a forest of steel that promised us relief was on its way. But what was the solution they are selling us is no longer a solution at all. What if it's the last act of the biggest heist in the Canadian history? A desperate cash grab designed to squeeze every last drop of profit from a broken system, right before it all comes crashing down. They call it the nest. Sophisticated urban living for the modern professional. A home that's efficient, affordable, and puts you right at the center of the action. Here's what it really is. A 12 by 12 foot box. It's smaller than a standard one-car garage. For this, developers are demanding outrageous prices, even as the rest of the market is in a major correction. They have the nerve to tell you that this is solving the housing crisis. That's a flat-out lie. This is a calculated scam to maximize profit before the house of cards collapse. Here's how they're getting away with it. Let's be very clear. This isn't about minimalist chic or the simple life. This is about financial desperation, gift wrapped and sold as a trendy lifestyle choice. Just look at the marketing for any tiny of these micro-condo projects. You will see glossy photos of a happy, attractive person doing yoga in the living room that is also happen to be their kitchen and their bedroom. They use words like efficiency, smart living, and attainable. But let's tear down that promise. The poster child for this lie can be found in projects like the Good Condos in Toronto's Distillery District. There, tiny units starting at just 263 square feet were launched. Do the math. Prices for some of these glorified closets soared to an average of over $1,400 per square feet. These shoeboxes were never meant for everyday Canadians. They were a financial product, cooked up in an era of rock-bottom interest rates to be flipped to speculative investors, who would then rent them out at a sky-high prices. The sales pitch was a fantasy. Buy this at a cheaper asset and watch its value climb to the moon as rents go up forever. For a while, this was self-fulfilling prophecy, but the market has turned hard. After years of decline, new condo sales in the GTA have plummeted to a 34-year low. The investor frenzy that fueled this fire is over. They've realized the music has stopped. So now, the developers are stuck with a mountain of these tiny, unwanted units in a building already halfway to the sky. These units were never designed for actual people. They were designed for entries on a spreadsheet. The problem is real human beings who need a place to live don't want them. Why? Because while prices may be wobbling, the cost of ownership is still completely detached from reality. In Toronto, the monthly cost to own even a modest condo can easily be thousands of dollars more than renting a similar unit. The math just doesn't make sense anymore. And so the market is frozen. The cracks are starting to show everywhere. So if this new condo market is dead, why do we keep seeing these projects getting finished? Why are they still selling to you that 12 by 12 foot lie? The answer is simple, pure desperation. Think of the condo industry like a giant assembly line. For years, that line was running at a top speed, pumping out one product, small, investor-grade condos. The entire financial model depended on it. Developers didn't build with their own money. They built with your money. They got construction loans by pre-selling up to 80% of the building to investors before even a single shovel hit the ground. This model worked like a charm when The money was cheap and speculation was king. Now the system is broken. Interest rates went up, buyers vanished, and the pure construction sale pipeline just dried up. In the greater Toronto area, pre-construction sales have fallen off a cliff. In 2025, only 1,599 new condos were sold, a staggering 95% drop from the market peak. That's not a dip, it's a crater. Many projects are now delayed or cancelled as developers find it impossible to get financing. The units being marketed to you today are toxic leftovers of a failed business model. Developers are sitting on a massive pile of inventory they can't move. In buildings they are legally obligated to finish. Their only way out is to offload these units to anyone that they can, most likely you, at prices that still make no sense. They are trapped in a mess of their own making, forced to complete these projects to the market that no longer wants. While their own costs remain painfully high, this isn't innovation. This is liquidation sale. They are trying to sell you their mistake and calling it a solution. Faced with this disaster, the smart money has already moved on. Some developers are pivoting to purpose-built rental apartments and missing middle housing like townhomes, detached, the king of homes that families actually need. But that shift takes time. It doesn't solve the immediate problem of thousands of tiny houses. Vacant boxes still hitting the market through 2026. This isn't just a story about a few greedy developers. It's a story about a system that enabled, encouraged, and is now trying to make this scam the new normal. The problem runs deep, right into the policies that shape our cities. For decades, zoning laws in Toronto and Vancouver made it almost impossible to build anything other than the two extremes: sprawling single-family houses or massive glass towers. The missing middle, the duplex, triplex, and low-rise apartments that create affordable living neighborhoods all over the world, was basically regulated out of existence. This, combined with insane land costs, created the perfect storm. It forced developers to chase the biggest profit, which meant cramming as many units as possible into a tiny little piece of land. And that meant the units just kept getting smaller and smaller. Now, here's where the story gets even more twisted. Just as this inventory-driven micro-unit market is collapsing under its own weight, the government is stepping in, not to protect you, the buyer, but to write the scam into law. In Ontario, the provincial government has brought in legislation that forces cities to allow small-scale, multi-unit housing on the lots that were once just for single-family homes. On paper, they will sell this as a fix for the affordability. But what it really does is it gives a lifeline to the exact same housing model that just failed. It normalizes shoebox living, not as a desperate market failure, but as a planned, desirable future. Similar policies are being pushed elsewhere as government scrambles to hit its impossible housing target. So you end up with this perverse cycle. Developers create a product nobody really wants. The market is rejecting it. Then the government, under the banner of solving the crisis, changes the rules to force more of that same unwanted product onto our neighborhoods. They are essentially bailing out a failed business strategy and calling it progress. This isn't a grand conspiracy. It's a cyclical mirage of convenience. Politicians need to look like they're doing something. The developers need a new market for their old tricks. The victim, as always, is the average Canadian who is told that their shrinking future is the only solution on the table. If this feels wrong, it's because it is. This is not just about the market downturn. It's a systemic failure. And the first step to fixing a problem is calling it for what it is. Share this story. Talk about it with your friends and family. Demand answers from your local politicians. Ask them why the only solution they have is to offer a smaller, more expensive version of a future you can't afford. The idea that we have to accept less for more is the biggest lie of all. Beyond the market data and the political spin, there is a real human cost to this con. It's the quiet despair of a young couple realizing that with two good jobs, the only home they can afford is a smaller than their parents' garage. It's a crushing weight of mortgage payment that eats up more than half of your income for a space that feels more like a storage unit than a place to live your life. This isn't about a square foot. It's about erosion of dignity. A home is more than just a shelter. It's the foundation of life. It's where you find stability, build a family, and connect with your community. The micro-condo scam reduces the dream of a home to a lousy financial transaction. It creates a transient, unsustainable existence for a generation already drowning in student debt. The system tells you you're lucky to even have this option, but it's a trap. It locks you into a depreciating asset that nobody wants, making it impossible to build equity you need to ever move up. You become a prisoner in your own mortgage, paying a premium for a life of compromise. This is the human price of a system that puts speculative profit before people. It's a betrayal of a promise that if you work hard and play by the rules, you can build a decent life in this country. Let's call this for what it is. The explosion of a 12 by 12 foot condo isn't innovation. This is not a solution. It's exploitation, plain and simple. It is the ugly end stage of a speculative bubble, a last-ditch effort by a broken industry to dump its riskiest assets on the most desperate people. For years, the Canadian housing market wasn't treated as a place for people to live. It was treated like a casino. And when the high-end rollers finally went bust, they left a pile of toxic chips on the table. Now, with the help of politicians who don't have the courage to find the real solution, they're trying to sell you those chips as the future of urban living. They'll say it's about density. They'll say it's about affordability. But just look at the price per square foot. Look at the size of the box. The lie is right up in the open. This isn't about housing Canadians. It's about harvesting them. It's a system that has completely lost its moral compass. And until we demand a fundamental reset, one that treats housing as a human right, not just as a financial commodity, the scam will go on and on. The only question is now, how much smaller does your future have to get before we finally say enough? If you are thinking of buying or selling real estate in the GTA, please give me a call. My contact information is in the description below. Until next time, see you soon.